Friends, I told you there are two, three issues we have to discuss today with Major General Bakshi. First is how did one of the strongest military powers in history, US, lose so badly in Afghanistan? Was it a failure of will to fight? Was it an intelligence failure? What was the role Pakistan played in it? Because some people, in fact, globally, a lot of people are calling it a victory of Pakistan's strategy. Thirdly, did India make some mistakes? Recently we had an ISI chief in Afghanistan. So, and the effect and consequences of all this on India, China's role in Afghanistan after the exit of US. So there are broadly these issues we will be covering today. And the first thing I would start with General Bakshi, whom I don't need to introduce, so I won't waste your time. Everybody knows him, and he's a frequent guest of the channel. So, General Bakshi, I was seeing your tweet, and you were giving the latest update on the Panjshir resistance. So, what is the situation there vis-a-vis
That's
resistance? If you would tell us all. And one last line, if I may add, people joining for the first time, please subscribe to the channel and like it and share it with your friends so that you get knowledge of what all is happening. Sorry, Bakshi Saab. Anji sir.
Thank you, Ishkaran. Thank you. You know, the situation in Afghanistan has taken sudden turn. It's extremely volatile. You see, the fact is that Pakistan was exhibiting triumphalism as if they are the conquerors of Afghanistan, and the DG Director General ISI Hamid has gone there like some kind of a conquering hero. But the fact is he knows they are in deep trouble. He's gone there to try and patch together a so-called inclusive government. The Taliban has absolutely refused to take any Tajiks, Hazaras, Uzbeks in their government. They have refused to have any technocrats. And you know the latest? The Akhundzada group and the Haqqani group have had a serious clash. 17 Afghans have been killed in this clash. So quite obviously, this man made a dash to Kabul because it was his job to deliver a kind of inclusive government in Afghanistan, which would be acceptable to the world. So he rushed there. And you know what is the latest? That is very surprising news coming out, and this is breaking news on your channel, that he went there without the permission of General Bajwa. Now, very
Oh.
interesting things are happening. This gentleman Hamid, General Hamid of the DGISI, is next in line for Chief of Army Staff of Pakistan after Bajwa. So they are at daggers drawn. Bajwa is feeling very humiliated because he has faced a military failure in the Panjshir. I will talk of that in a minute. So he is trying to win the Panjshir battle. He is losing his temper. He is shouting at all his subordinates. People are getting very, hassled as to what the hell is happening. But a very sudden about turn has taken place in the situation in Afghanistan. I have been telling people from day one that Afghanistan is a country prone to sudden, non-linear changes of the situation. So don't be surprised if the situation in Afghanistan changes very drastically over the next weeks and months.
Sir,
Drastically.
so this fight between let me just show the picture also, people, of the ISI chief in the hotel which has gone viral. But and sir, I would ask you to tell us a little bit about what is the situation with ISI chief, as you are telling us on the channel, fighting with General Bajwa. And anyways, Imran Khan is irrelevant to the process. This is the ISI chief in Kabul hotel, who, as General Bakshi tells us, has gone there to create the government or settle the government. But sir, so what is this fight about? Because one would assume General Bajwa has already gotten an extension. Already there was unrest in the
Certainly,
army with this
certainly,
extension. So what is this entire situation, and
certainly.
how do you see the dynamic playing out in the military of
So,
Pakistan?
you see, the point at issue is Bajwa got that extension on the plea that there was a serious threat from India. Now there is a ceasefire with India, right? Number one. Number two, uh, this DGISI is next in the line. After
Hmm.
Bajwa's extended tenure finishes, by seniority, he is likely to become the chief of the army staff. He is
Hmm.
trying to create a situation where he can pin the blame on Bajwa for losing the battle of the Panjshir. that goes against Bajwa. That if we can hasten the ouster of Bajwa, then he becomes the chief. You know, and Bajwa is trying to see that he finishes this man who's a threat to his ambition by trying to tell him, look, you failed to form an inclusive government. That was your bloody job. That's why without asking Bajwa, he has rushed there. Bajwa has asked for an explanation and he's telling the adjutant general to call him back and he may be sacked. This is the background thing which has not come out in the news. But the most important thing that has happened is, Ishkaran, and I must share it with the people of India through you, that Pakistan is directly involved in the fighting. It is openly admitted and it is trying to, spearhead the attack on Panjshir. What happened in Panjshir was that the Taliban made 3-4 attempts to take Panjshir and they got a bloody nose. In the first battles, over 400 Talibanis were killed or wounded, and the whole of Kabul hospital is now filled with the wounded of the Taliban. That is the time the Taliban asked General Bajwa to get Panjshir for them, and they said, if you can get us the head of Abdullah Saleh, we will support you on Kashmir. So for this reason, Major General Adil Rahmani, who heads the SSG group in Pakistan, is personally there in civil clothes. The attack is being led by 2 SSG battalions, Special Service Group Battalion, and they are supported by a squadron of tanks, 1 medium battery of 155mm guns, 4 Huey Cobra attack helicopters, right? And they are facing serious problems. The Tajiks are experienced fighters. They have mined the whole valley, all the approaches of attack, and therefore the Pakistanis had to rush an engineer regiment there to try and clear the mines, because the mines took a very heavy casualty. Right now General Bajwa is sitting in his war room, underground bunker in Rawalpindi. He has given orders that the entire military operations directorate, the entire military intelligence directorate officers will sit there, sleep there till this is over. उनका खाना भी वहां पहुंच रहा है उनको आर्मर्ड कोर रेजिमेंट से जो आर्मर की रेजिमेंट है वहां पे. You see, they suddenly have miscalculated. Let me now give you a bit of background. When the Russians occupied Afghanistan in 1979 and through the 80s, they had to launch 7 major attacks on Panjshir. Now, Panjshir is a narrow valley which runs parallel to the Kabul-Uzbekistan road, goes via the Salan Tunnel, very strategic Salan Tunnel, right? It is at right angles to that road. So this poses a threat to that road. And the Russians were very worried that they should not get off. Their main supply line came from Uzbekistan to Kabul, right? So they launched attack after attack after attack to clear Ahmad Shah, Masood, Tajik from that narrow valley, right? In the final attack, all attacks failed. In the final attack, Ishkaran, I want to tell the people of India, the Russians used their 103, 104, 105 Guards Airborne Division, paratroopers. They are the best, the creme de la creme of the Russian army. This was supported by a motorized rifle division and 10,000 Afghan troops. That means a total of 30,000 attacked the Panjshir Valley, right? And when they attacked the Panjshir Valley in 1987, the final, that is called the 7th Panjshir operation, right? They firstly started the attack with waves of, Tupolev bombers, carpet bombing the valley. Then their fighter attack, the ground attack fighters went in. Then their hind attack helicopters went in. Then the Russian artillery fired their multi-barrel Grad rockets, launchers, salvo after salvo, their medium 130mm guns. They bombarded that valley in the most inhuman fashion, and then they attacked. And even then they were beaten back. Can you imagine? So for
mm,
Pakistan to think that with two SSG battalions and some support element, now they are trying to increase the
mm,
artillery. They have sent in two
mm,
more batteries. So even three batteries of artillery, you know, they think it was a joke. They thought just like the Taliban has won without fighting, they will win
mm,
without fighting. At their very side, the Tajiks will run away. The Tajiks
mm,
are not like the Pashtun fighters of the Taliban.
mm,
Taliban has got a needless bloody build-up by the Americans who have
mm,
disgraced themselves by fleeing and handing over Afghanistan to the Taliban in the hope that they can turn the Taliban against China, against
mm,
Russia, against Central Asia, Iran,
mm,
and India. This is your friend.
mm.
Their aim is to turn. Now the thing is, the most likely place where the Taliban will be employed by the ISI is against India. They'll try their best to see that nothing happens to China and nothing happens on the Russian side. But
Sir,
the problem is, will the
I
Taliban
would,
listen?
sir, I will come to the Kashmir issue after one or two more questions because that would be a separate issue I want to ask you on. Sir, but as you say, Pakistan military, there is a crisis going on. The ISI chief has one brief to form a united, cohesive government, and Bajwa has another brief to win over Panjshir Valley. But sir, the question which is arising is this: that now earlier it was said that they would form a coalition government, and that is why Taliban Pashtun army basically managed to run over the entire Afghanistan. People surrendered. But almost 40% or to 50% of the population of Afghanistan, as it stands today, is non-Pashtun
Correct,
population.
correct.
Uzbeks, Tajiks, etc., etc., etc. So, sir, this resistance, do you see this resistance of Tajiks and Uzbeks and all the other communities which come together to 40-50% and which used to be the Northern Alliance? Do you see it has some longevity, some strength? First, second, beyond Pashtun Valley. Second, is America supporting them? Is India supporting them? Arms, weapons, the ability to fight, because Pakistan and China, tomorrow China could get into Panjshir Valley in a clandestine way, help Pakistan or Taliban. So, sir, how much help are they getting, and how do you see that situation of resistance against Taliban within Afghanistan?
As of now, the only help they are getting is from Tajikistan. They are Tajiks, they are Tajiks, so the only help they are getting is from Tajikistan. That too is very limited. India has an air base in Parkhor. There is no bloody reason why we can't put our troops there and help them. Logistically, intelligence support wise, our satellites can feed intelligence to them so that they can fight better. You see, the
Mm,
Pakistanis are using 4 Turkish drones to try and locate the gaps. So they located the gaps with the Turkish drones, and then they sent the Taliban through them. But the
mm,
Tajiks were waiting in ambush. They have ambushed a whole lot. Thousands of them have been caught. They are fleeing.
mm,
Yesterday itself, about 1,600 to 1,000 Taliban fighters have been killed. Many of them have just surrendered. They were surrounded and they have surrendered.
mm,
It has been a very horrible day for Pakistan yesterday. They are trying to
mm,
keep quiet about it, but the fact is the Tajiks who could beat the Russian army, the
mm,
Pakistan army is no match unless the whole corps goes. And if
mm,
a whole corps goes, all that India has to do is to activate the Western Front. Pakistan's Eastern Front is our Western Front. You see, the problem in Pakistan is in Afghanistan is the Pakistani army. How do you to put pressure on the Pakistani army? India does not have to get boots inside Afghanistan. We have
mm,
from line of control to run of Kutch to put pressure. But
mm,
very
mm,
strangely, under American influence, our
mm,
foreign ministry at this stage seems to be saying, let's get into peace talks with Pakistan. As you are aware, we have a ceasefire on the line of
mm,
control. Is this the time to give a ceasefire to Pakistan? What are we trying to do? Are we trying to facilitate Pakistan's conquest of Afghanistan? Is that our job? There are people saying in the retired foreign service establishment, let's talk to Pakistan. Let's have the first mover advantage. We should be the first to recognize Pakistan. Are you are you out of your mind? Pakistan's win is a win for ISI and Pakistan. Taliban's win is a win for ISI and Taliban. What will you do next? Congratulate the ISI? Congratulate General Bajwa, and you think you will win both of them over to your side? I mean, I can't understand this. We are not the 51st state of the United States. If the USA has cut and run in a disgraceful manner, do we have to do a similar surrender? Are we obliged to do a similar surrender? अरे हमारे दोस्त भाग गए, हम भी भाग जाए, हम भी हथियार डाल दे, हम भी तालिबान को हाथ जोड़े कि प्लीज हमको छोड़ दो. क्या बकवास है साहब. India is a major military power. You have the second largest army, fourth largest air force, fifth largest navy in the world. America can cut and run. There are 8 to 10,000 kilometers difference between America and Afghanistan. They may be safe for a time. For a time. You are in the direct line of fire. Already 3,000 Pakistani fighters and these Afghan and Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-Toiba people who are who are in Afghanistan have come over to be okay. But let me first finish with the issue of Panjshir. The Tajiks are putting up a terrific fight. They are very combat hardened professional warriors. You see, the Pashtun is a good guerrilla fighter. He can snipe from a distance, he can ambush and run, he can hit and run, he can explode IEDs, kill women and children in markets. That's all. When it comes to set piece military operations, the Pashtuns are very poor regular fighters. Please understand what I'm saying. Irregular fighters on their own terrain, nobody else can beat. Because they can stretch the war on for years. वहाँ कुछ है ही नहीं, पत्थर ही है, रेत है वहाँ पे. So they can stretch the war for years. People get tired and they say they go on. But to say that Afghanistan has never been conquered is to read military history wrongly. Because from the times of the Iranian Ahmed Empire, they have been conquered. Then the Central Asians conquered them. Then the Mughals conquered them. Then the Iranians conquered them under Nadir Shah. It's only after Nadir Shah, when Nadir Shah was killed, he died on the way to going back from Delhi, looting Delhi. You know that Ahmad Shah Abdali looted his caravans, got the wealth, and with that created an army with which he tried to fight in Panipat, and he won the battle of Panipat because of our stupidity. Because we refused to fight forward. We said, दिल्ली के पास आओ, पानीपत में खुला मैदान है, वहां लड़े. हम ज्यादा दूर जाने की हमारा मन नहीं करता. It's a serious problem, mindset problem. But the fact is, sir, now you will have to fight forward. Unless you want to fight in Panipat again, you'll have to fight forward. That means we must get out of this mindset. Easiest way for you is to problem in Afghanistan is Pakistan Army ISI. Put pressure on them on their eastern border. होश हवास उड़ जाएंगे पाकिस्तान के. वो किस तरफ देखेगा? Is it Indian armed forces job to give him a respite? कि प्लीज सर आप जरा फाइट करके अफगानिस्तान में जीत लो, फिर हम आपसे कुछ करेंगे. Does it make sense? It is illogical. Just because somebody from US State Department rang you up and said, no, please don't bother Pakistan, they are doing our job in Afghanistan. You comply? You have no botheration for the lives of your citizens?
Sir, what has happened? Because I remember you are telling this last time also that before the Panjshir resistance, that India has just gone quiet on the Pakistan's western border, that we are doing nothing there. And now that Pakistan could move its corps there, it has already sent a detachment of its army there. We are still repeating the same mistake. If Panjshir also falls, then there is no resistance within the territory of Afghanistan to Taliban. Why are we not making it a difficult situation for Pakistan to concentrate all its forces to give a full victory, military victory for the time being to Taliban?
That is what I am baffled about, but I am very certain it will change. It will have to change. We will have to fight. We can't let Panjshir go down without a fight. They are our friend. Uzbeks are our friend. Tajiks are our friend. Hazaras are our friend. And like they constitute over 50% of Afghanistan's population. The Tajiks of Panjshir are putting up a terrific fight. The Taliban has taken a kicking, over 1,000 casualties. And a little bit more of that, they will be in problem. number one. Number two, there is a drought in Afghanistan. वहां भुखमरी आने वाली है. There has been a brain drain from Afghanistan. All the educated Afghans have either fled or are desperately trying to escape. Who will run their government? Who will run their hospital? Who will run their schools, colleges, administration? Everything is gone for a six. Taliban may beat up women. They may whip and stone women to death. That doesn't help you in running a country. Of course, they'll try and get Qataris, they'll try and get Turks, and Pakistan will try and get into a big way. But to what level? If they go beyond a level, the Taliban will be very upset. ये तो साला colonize करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. Already they have said we don't recognize the Durand line. Please stop building the fence. Already they have said. So, as I forecast the future, Pakistan's and Taliban's problems in Afghanistan are going to grow by the day. Not only are the Tajiks resisting already, Uzbeks will join, Hazaras will join, and the urban population of Afghanistan is horrified. Pakistan was saying liberation. Have you seen the faces of the Afghan people? Have you seen how they are trying to flee by clinging to the tires of C-17 aircraft, falling to their death? How after the IS Khorasan exploded a huge bomb there, suicide bomb, killed 180 people, 13 Marines. They are still going back. Next day they were back because they are just trying to get the hell out of that place.
Sir, your screen has frozen or become different, sir. General Bakshi, your screen has. Oh, sir, को लगता है मुझे same phone से बात कर रहे हैं, call आ रही है. I will just re-add one second. Hello, sir. I think your screen has. I think sir's screen has reshifted. Let me just call him.
Sorry
yes.
for that. Acha,
Yes.
so, as I was saying, as the days, weeks, months will go, problems for Taliban will increase because they are not in a position, they are not in a position to govern. They have no expertise to govern. They have refused to take any technocrats in their ministry, so-called inclusive government. Only these mad dogs of the Taliban, they can't run the government. People are going to get angrier and angrier. Hunger leads to anger.
Sir, the second thing of this. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Khana hai nahi. Whole of Afghanistan depends on foreign aid. 40% of the pays and salaries were being paid, almost all, in fact, were being paid by foreign aid. 8 to 10 billion dollars a year have to be pumped in to keep a functional government in Afghanistan. Previously, the British did it, then the Russians, then the Americans. Pakistan is in no position to give it. Who can give it? China, right?
China.
But China will be very, very hesitant. The Chinese are already saying, we will not go by what the Taliban is saying. We will go by what the Taliban is doing. And the Chinese army has already created a base in Tajikistan opposite the Wakhan corridor, so that if any Talibans try and cross over into Uzbekistan, which they are likely to, the CIA ने 2 साल झकनी मारी है, खूब पैसे खिला के आए, ऐसे नहीं आए. They are also not, don't take them to be fools. They are very, very, they also think ahead.
But they are looking foolish, sir. Sir, they are looking foolish with what.
No, they are looking foolish because of the way they withdrew. Who asked them to withdraw that way? But if I have to withdraw from Afghanistan, do I have to create a disaster? कौन आपको मार रहा? मतलब आप ऐसा डर दिखाओ for no rhyme or reason. किसी ने आपको छुआ नहीं है सिवाय IS खोरासान के. ठीक है, वो भी because आपने डर दिखाया तो वो People will smell fear and they attack. You get your army out first, then you start getting the civilians out. Is it common sense? Then you have to rush back the army. 2,500 troops थे, उनको निकाल दिया. फिर
सर
सिविलियंस
सबसे बड़ा
निकालने शुरू किए.
सर जो सबसे बड़ा
फिर
वो आ रहा है कि अपने आर्मामेंट्स ब्लैक हॉक हेलीकॉप्टर्स अपना लेटेस्ट आप वहां छोड़ के जा रहे हैं. ये कैसे इवैक्यूएशन है दैट यू विल नॉट टेक योर इक्विपमेंट आउट
देखो,
फर्स्ट?
I don't think it is by stupidity. I think it is by design. They want to tell the Taliban, we will arm you. हमने तुमको देखो $85 billion के वेपन दिए, अब लड़ो चीन से, अब लड़ो उससे. As it is, these people start feeling 10 feet tall. They fought no battle. The Afghan army was just told to surrender. Their weapons, their sophisticated weapons which were being run by the Americans, they just withdrew. Their 18,000 civil contractors who were maintaining their helicopters and gunships and tanks and everything, they all withdrew. And the Afghan army had not been trained to handle these. They were left helpless. Then they were told, देखो यार हम तो जा रहे हैं, तुम मारे जाओगे, surrender कर. Taliban won the battles. Everybody thought, oh, look at this, how brave they are, how fierce they are. Just 75,000 Taliban, 3 lakh Afghan army, they have won. They have won without firing a shot. But now when they have actually to fight in Panjshir, असलियत पता चल गई है साहब. आटे दाल का भाव पता चल गया है कि असली प्रोफेशनल हार्डन ट्रूप से फाइट करो तो अंजाम क्या होता है. और पाकिस्तान आर्मी ने भी जंग खाया हुआ है, कितने सालों से लड़ी नहीं है, वो वहां दौड़ी और वो भी पिट गए हैं और पिटेंगे. लेट मी टेल यू, कारगिल का एक्सपीरियंस मेरे को भी है माउंटेन वॉरफेयर का बहुत. Pakistanis are not very good mountain fighters. We have seen them in Siachen, we have seen them in Kargil and beaten them properly. So they are not going to win against the Tajiks, who the Russians could not defeat. और रशियंस का साहब स्नो में रहते हैं तकरीबन आधी जिंदगी से ज्यादा. If they can't fight and win over the Tajiks, how can the Pakistanis win? And कितना फोर्स लगा सकता है पाकिस्तान? जरूरत से ज्यादा लगाएगा, they'll give us opening.
Sir, do you see China's role in this? That China would be sending its two questions, sir. Firstly, what US has left behind, I think that would be sold to Pakistan and or would be acquired by Pakistan, if not China directly, which will reverse engineer the hell out of it to understand what all the weapons are all about. But that I would ask you in context of when we come to Kashmir. But do you see China lending its muscle either by equipment or by some select officers in taking of Panjshir, helping Pakistan Taliban, or do you see China not playing a role, sir?
Do you know that there is a Chinese general right now as we talk sitting in GHQ Pakistan in that war room? Do you know that there is a Turkish general sitting with General Bajwa? ठीक है साहब? I told you that they have established a base in Tajikistan just opposite the Wakhan Panhandle, which is the entry point to Eastern Turkestan or what is now called Xinjiang, right? They have positioned themselves already. Now the news is that they are trying to tell Pakistan, we will do joint operations. They are ready to interfere in Afghanistan. They have no hang-ups, Gandhian hang-ups like we have. You will be the only country not prepared to fight in Afghanistan. You are having that now on your CV. We are not prepared to fight in Afghanistan. We are dead scared. What nonsense, sir. The Sikh army, the only army to beat the Afghans is the Sikh army. Maharaja Ranjit Singh, have you heard of Hari Singh Nalwa? अब बात क्या कर रहे हो? But यहाँ गांधीगिरी ने हमारी ऐसी तैसी कर दी है साहब कि we don't want to fight. Now my point at issue is, sir, you will have to fight. You better fight on your own and in time. Be the first mover. ठीक है साहब? Before you get China in, before you, Pakistan is already in. The regular Pakistan army, 2 SSG battalions, 1 battery of 155, 1 battery of 105, 1 battery of 130mm guns are there, 1 squadron tanks is there. GOC 11 Corps General Naumi is being tasked to open a supply line. the Khyber scouts have been told to give protection. Kabul mein they are trying to establish a base. Pakistan is asking the Taliban, give us rights to station F-16 fighters and J-17 fighters at Kabul Air Base so that they can bomb the hell out of the Tajiks in Panjshir. And you will sit and you will, what will you do? हाथ मलोगे?
पर सर आपको लगता नहीं है we are already too late? मैं इसलिए पूछता हूँ जो आप कह रहे हैं we will have to fight.
No, we are not too late. We are just in time. If you miss the boat now, you are in serious trouble.
Let me ask this question, because as per whatever I have heard is in 2018 Trump suggested that I am withdrawing, but a UN peacekeeping force largely made up of India should be present there, boots on the ground. That was one chance, 2018. We didn't take it. Then second chance, we could have negotiated something with Biden. We did not do it. Third chance now, sir, when we don't have the objection to sending boots is that we have no way of, no continuous border with Afghanistan, no way of supplying our troops there, and the boat, which we could have taken of a UN peacekeeping force with the US there and all that ecosystem or all the equipment and the world behind it, has lost now. So people suggest that there is no way India can either help Panjshir, the resistance there, or India can go there. So what do you think, that is it not already too late to be able to play any meaningful role in Pakistan, militarily meaningful role in Pakistan?
Look, sir, George Fernandez, when he was the defense minister, right, and we had a very good ambassador in Tajikistan. He had secured, you already have an airbase at Forkhar in Tajikistan. You already have presence there, sir. आप बात क्या कर रहे हैं? ताजिकिस्तान से आना क्या प्रॉब्लम है आपको? Tajikistan is on the borders of Afghanistan, just next to Panjshir. So if you want to help clandestinely, let us say to start with, why can't you give arms, ammunition, weapons, shoulder-fired air-to-air missiles, or ground-to-air missiles? It was with the help of these that the Afghan resistance had got the upper hand over Russia. You can send shoulder-fired SAM-7 ground-to-air missiles, right? That will strengthen the Tajiks against any air attacks by the stupid Pakistanis. If they get that air base, that is why DGISI is there. If they get that air base, if they get the JF-17 and F-16 fighters there, then you have a serious problem. You are creating a serious problem for the Tajiks. Why can't we deploy Su-30s there? Why can't we deploy Su-30s in Tajikistan? You have the air base. They have given you the right. Why can't we clandestinely help? We can even paradrop food, medicines, supplies, arms, ammunition, evacuate the wounded. Do you know we have a hospital in Tajikistan? Are you aware? Previously also all Tajik fighters were going there when they got wounded. Oh, for God's sake, there is so much that we can do. We may not like to talk too much about it, because initially I also think that it should be clandestine. But I am very sure that, not everybody is a Gandhian in this government. There are lots of people, and you know who I am referring to.
Yes,
there are lots of people. There is my old boss, you see, and they will certainly, I'm sure they have acted. I'm sure. Well, I can't say very much, but I don't, I don't know. So let's leave it at that.
Plausible deniability. As we say diplomatically, plausible deniability.
No. We are Gandhian people. We don't go around helping the, people under trouble. So the fact of the matter is that, but you can do a lot, sir. And like I have told you, the easiest thing for you to do, put pressure on Pakistan's eastern border. When Pakistan in 1965 war, incidentally, today is what date? Today is 6th of September. Today, the 65 war had started. And how had it started? First, he sent in infiltrators. We rounded them up, finished them off. Then he attacked Cham. with almost an armored brigade and a division. He almost cut the Akhnur bridge. And we were under serious pressure. So what did we do? We attacked against Lahore Sialkot. दौड़े आए उल्टे बांस बरेली को, spent the rest of the war trying to save his backside in Lahore and Sialkot. That is the way to do it. Put pressure here. वहां से दौड़ा आएगा वापस. तो दो SSG battalions वगैरह दौड़ती हुई वापस आएंगी towards the eastern front. But you have to have that will, and we must show that will. We have shown that will earlier by attacking across Uri. We have shown that will earlier in Balakot. Time to show that will again. That India is no pushover. If America has cut and run, India is not going to run. India will remain here. And India can cause you serious problems to Pakistan and the Taliban, and they know it. And they know it. Let Gandhianism not cut our hands.
But sir, it appears up till now, at least since the last 3 years or so, Balakot being an exception, and that was also a time of elections near. But right now, you do not see, as I said, from 2018, the chances we got, we have not really up till now done it. So if we do it now, which we need to do it now, as you are saying, it would be a change, because even in China, we left the heights for God knows what reason. So we are making some mistakes which are very visible, and as you and other military experts keep coming on the channel and keep telling that leaving the heights was a very unjustifiable sort of a decision. Sir, but I want to talk now on the Pakistan aspect. TTP has become active. It has killed Pakistani soldiers. It is raising its voice. Its dream of greater Pashtun land, greater Afghanistan, whatever they want to call it, has become active. How much do you think this would become a burning issue for Pakistan, and how much do you think this will combine with the already existing Baloch independence movement? How do you see, and with the challenge of refugees coming to Pakistan in an enormous number, and who would mostly be people who have no loyalty to Pakistan? Anyways, I don't think so those regions have any loyalty to the nation state of Pakistan. The loyalty is to the guns or the boots or how it's controlled. So how do you see that dynamic playing up for Pakistan with the refugees, TDP, Balochistan, the entire movements, which are armed movements in Pakistan?
You see, when the 15th of August, our Independence Day, when the Taliban moved into Kabul without fighting, there were some very tough Afghan National Army formations, their best, 202 Corps, 111 Division, and their Commando Brigade. These are the best part of the Afghan Army. They were defending Kabul. If you have to fight in a city, you can fight street by street, house by house. You saw the problems we had in Sri Lanka, in Jaffna. You saw the problems the Germans had in Stalingrad, Leningrad. Street by street, house by house, सालों लड़ाई चल सकती है, ठीक है साहब? But they were told, lay down your arms. Americans ordered that. They are now saying, oh, Ghani, the coward, he fled. Do you know that before that poor man was forced to leave, the Defense Secretary of the United States, the State Secretary of State were on the phone, get out, get out, get out. He was a creature of the Americans. He had what option does he have but to go out? Then Biden Saab goes on television and says, oh, they are cowards. We gave them so much weapons they couldn't fight. Arey sir, if you have such a blind spot for Pakistan, that even at the cost of American izzat, mitti mein hai unka naam duniya. Who will trust Joe Biden again? America we used to trust. Who will trust Joe Biden again? And do you know something? Joe Biden had ordered an inquiry against China on the COVID-19. He had told the CIA. You know the latest? Very quietly it has been buried. CIA has said, sir, we can't find out unless we have cooperation from China. Finish. End of story. अरे यार, जो तालिबान जैसे रैग टैग आउटफिट से नहीं लड़ सकते, वो चीन से लड़ेंगे? वो तो कह रहे हैं कि साहब, कहने को तो हम चीन और रशिया दोनों के साथ लड़ेंगे. But if this is your performance, then the world is not going to trust. It is a very sad thing. The American armed forces are very good. They are the best equipped. They are the most combat experienced. लगातार लड़े आ रहे. But they seem to have gone tired.
But sir, this question will arise that Pakistan, you have suggested that Pakistan is walking into multiple problems, and I tend to agree with you. But initially, in Pakistani mind, they have won a victory in Afghanistan by either fooling US, using US, or however you describe. So, what do you, and global media also supports. I just saw a BBC news where an expert was telling that Pakistan has convinced US that it is the fire brigade, whereas it is the arsonist. And BBC shut that expert from speaking. So the global media support is there. What is Pakistan doing good in the sense of PR, or how is Pakistan managing to so consistently, a bankrupt failed state, so consistently managing to fool US, maybe China, and existing? What are the good they are doing, because I want to understand, or what is the right thing they are doing that they're managing to fool US or use US for their own ends? Why is that happening, sir?
Look, one thing is clear. The Pakistanis pursue their national interest doggedly. When they are discussing with the Americans, they just don't cave in like we tend to do very often. We tend to do, just cave in. Yes, sir, you are right, sir. You will not deal with Iran. It is in our interest to deal with Iran. We caved in. We stopped buying oil from Iran. China continued and they got it at 50% discount. So you have to show your spine sometime and say, these are my national interests, sir. You may be my best friend or my friend as you claim to be. But I'm sorry, where my national interests are concerned, we will draw red line. यहाँ तक हम आपके साथ accommodate कर सकते हैं, इसके आगे नहीं. Now, Joe Biden, when he was vice president, he visited Pakistan. They know how to lick very well. They gave him their highest civilian honor. वो निशाने पाकिस्तान या क्या है? You see, their highest civilian honor has been given to Biden.
When he was vice
and that old gentleman is carried away. Kamala Harris seems to be the fondest of Pakistan. She claims that she has Indian blood. But the entire cabal she is surrounded with is, the Mia Khalifa types. They're all Pakistani. The democratic, dispensation in America has traditionally been very pro-Pakistan. Pro-Pakistan. And we have not seen a more pro-Pakistani government in the United States. Things got complicated for us, unfortunately, because some people advised the Prime Minister when he went to the United States some years back to hold almost an election rally for Trump. Now Trump has lost. You think the Democrats are very happy with you for that? No, why? Because I'm very sorry to say, the Indian American community, they led us up the garden path. They said, we will vote for Trump, we will vote for Trump. They all voted for Biden. And India is, we are in a kind of a, look, okay, we may have differences of views, but let me tell you this to you straight. The kind of support you have from the Trump administration, you will never have from the Biden administration. आप लिख के ले लीजिए. लिख के ले लीजिए.
No, sir. The only
but that doesn't mean that we give up our national interest. We are not the 51st states of the United States. We don't have to go by exactly if America is running, we will also run. ये क्या बात हुई सर? कि I love you so much, sir. आप भाग गए, मैं भी भाग जाऊंगा. मैं तो in the neighborhood हूँ. I will suffer the most. The Pakistanis were jubilant when the Taliban won in Kabul. Their interlocutors on television were smiling, were full of triumphalism. जीत गए, हरा दिया, you have no place, तुम्हारी नाक कटी, तुम हार गए. Their smiles have gone, Ishkaran. And let me tell you, as the days and months will progress, simple facts of logic. Taliban cannot govern. They have no expertise to cover. They will be forced to get in outsiders. The more outsiders come, the Afghans don't like them. When the Chinese come, they ask for women to be supplied. See the Afghans doing that. Pakistan has supplied women. Will the Afghans do that? खाना को है नहीं, ठीक है साहब. एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन फ्लॉप हो चुकी है, डॉक्टर्स भाग गए हैं, नर्सेज भाग गई हैं, टीचर्स भाग रहे हैं. ये स्टेट कैसे चलेगी साहब? कितनी देर चलेगी? Taliban itself has so many factions. There has been a physical clash between Akhundzada, who is supposed to be the Mullah Omar successor, the Moimeen Amir, जो क्या बोलते हैं उसको, Amirul Moimeen. Haqqani group has had an armed clash with him. DG ISI किस लिए गया वो? ये मत लड़ो. You see, लड़ना तो शुरू हो ही गया है. और ये तो अभी इंट्रा तालिबान, इंट्रा पश्तून है. The Tajiks are fighting. Uzbeks are seeing how they have given a bloody nose. They will start fighting. अभी तो दोस्ताम भागा था वहां पे because he was let down by the Afghan National Army, who was told to surrender. They tamely surrendered. He had no option but to run. Americans ने उसका पूरा militia disband कर दिया था. ठीक है. So now they will reform. कितना टाइम लगता है? हथियारों की कोई कमी नहीं है अफगानिस्तान. The problem for us is not the Humvees and the armored vehicles and the helicopters that the Americans have left. They have left, sir, 6.5 lakh assault rifles. These are the ones that will be given to Lashkar, Jaish-e-Mohammed, IS Khorasan, Al-Qaeda, who will now try and come into Jammu and Kashmir.
Sir, exactly.
They will get a very warm red carpet is another issue.
On Kashmir, exactly. Taliban initially, when it came, said we have no business in Kashmir, etc. Sounds were made. Everybody knew that's a joke. I remember you also saying that fitrat nahi hai, leopard doesn't change its spots. But the problem now, sir, is that they're officially saying Kashmir mein we will intervene or we will do something or hamare usme hai, agenda mein hai. So what do you see, sir? And Pakistan ka bhi bahut massively suit hota hai agenda if they can divert the Pashtuns to Kashmir instead of trying to create a Pashtunistan or getting into Balochistan. So what do you think in the immediate terms? Is it we are heading back to 89 to 91 problems which we had after these Mujahids came? You have served during those years. So what is the situation what was the situation then and what is the situation now? Is the threat comparable, worse, less? How is it playing out, sir?
The two situations cannot be compared. Then we had no fencing on the line of control. Today, not only the line of control, the entire international border till Ran of Kutch is fenced. The Indian Army has developed the techniques of stopping infiltration very well. You cannot have a hermetically sealed border. You cannot have 100% stoppage of infiltration, but we have achieved it by about, I would say, 75 to 85%, if not 90%. We can stop 90%. Even that will mean 10% will come in and they will raise the temperature in Jammu and Kashmir. They will try and raise the temperature in Punjab. They now have Kerala and they now have Bengal. These are the places where they will try and raise temperature. The rise of the Taliban, and if you give it recognition and start sucking up to it, will greatly raise the morale of the radical elements inside it. You have seen the way Owaisi is talking. You've seen the way some of your UP, minority people are talking. Already. और आप उनको सिर पे चढ़ाओ तो फिर देखो domestically क्या होता है. Any foreign diplomat who thinks he is so good that he will charm the Taliban will have to factor in the consequences of a surrender to the Taliban internationally on domestic situation.
Audiences.
Internal security. Already वो कह रहे हैं आप तो तालिबान से बात कर रहे हो, आप तालिबान से बात कर रहे हो. So you have to think 10 times before you give. You may have to deal with them. What option do you have? भाई अगर वो है बैठा तालिबान में कुछ काम करना है काबुल में तो I have to talk to him. Talking is separate. हमने भी recognition 1996 में नहीं दी थी, but when our hijack happened, we had to talk. Then we were forced. There are n number of channels that are kept open, even to your enemy. To Pakistan and China, you have channels open. But you don't have to recognize and give legitimacy. That will be very dangerous and very wrong. The signal domestically, the signal internationally is here is a country that cannot fight up for its right. Thoda dabao, they will give it. Then you will invite more pressure. But if you show your teeth, if we don't give it that up, we will teach you. Even now you can reverse the situation in Afghanistan. Please, give it 6 months. Already the Tajiks in Panjshir, वो 1400 तालिबानी मार चुके हैं. You want to know the Pakistani casualties till 2 days back? Shall I read them out to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
1 officer, 1 JCO, 7 other ranks killed, wounded, 2 officers, 4 JCOs, 11. That was till 3 days back before the main fighting. And now we are being told that some 60, 70 killed and wounded or हुए. And this is from the Krima Dirma Lia Cream. The most critical elements are the SSG battalion. 4 जो SSG battalions हैं, वो they are the critical है. उनको मार पड़ रही. अब वो कितना withdraw करेगा eastern border से? If you are prepared to put pressure on the eastern border of Pakistan, he can't take out much for Afghanistan. कोई सवाल नहीं है. But if you don't put pressure, sir, उसका 11 और 12 corps, 60,000 troops are freed to fight against you. And unless you are mad, you will keep the Afghan frontier going. Unless the Gandhians drive us mad. Very dangerous people. This Sudhir Kulkarnis and gang. They were on television saying, oh, we must be the first to recognize the Taliban.
Sir, Churchill की बहुत पुरानी line है. You were offered a choice of dishonor or war. You chose dishonor and you will have war. So if we become...
You will certainly have war.
You will have war if you start to recognize them and you start to be quiet on your borders. You give Pakistan the freedom. But, and I hope they are listening to you, because the consequences, as you are describing, sir, that if we do nothing...
They will have to listen, sir. They will have to listen. One is trying to talk in the national interest. All the advice they are given in the national interest. Thank God the Modi government is not full of Gandhians. There are lots of other very hard-headed people who have fought in the past, and they will, I'm sure, certainly fight again. And I'm sure the advice of the armed forces will be listened to.
Thank you so much, sir. This will be an ongoing topic, and thank you for taking out time and explaining all this. People joining for the first time, do subscribe to it, and I will keep inviting General Bakshi to keep telling us, because end of the day, we are a democracy. What General Bakshi speaks here, what you lakhs of people who listen to this understand, and the narrative you create gives strength or sometimes forces the government also to act, which is how a democracy should function. Thank you so much, Bakshi Saab, for taking up time.